London, one of the world's greatest cities, welcomes some of the world's toughest athletes. Superhuman is standard in T100. Another day in the Hurt Arena for a stellar cast, led out by the sensational Annie Howe.
Challenge rock, she was faultless in that race.
Well, this is one of the greatest runners we've ever seen in the sport.
30 seconds made up in the first K by Ash Gentle.
Lucy Charles-Barclay, she does not mess around at the start.
She's going to be able to tell that she's bridging that gap to Lucy Charles-Barclay. Her first ever T100 World Tour Series victory.
What does this woman have to do to get first place at one of these races? Second again.
Annie Howe, Ash Gentle and Lucy Charles-Barclay, just three of the headliners in a field of challengers and champions. But the big question in London, has the time come for LCB to move from challenger to champion herself?
And we are racing 100 kilometres to go in the T100 London, fourth stop of the T100 World Tour this year.
Watch as they work for positioning.
As we can see, and as expected, Lucy Charles-Barclay, front and centre of screen, in the pink cap, taking things off hard. Ashley Gentle picked a pontoon position right next to Lucy Charles-Barclay, I believe in the hopes of trying to get on her feet. And as you can see in the orange cap there behind Lucy Charles, she has already lost her feet.
That train has left the station and no one got a ticket other than Sophie Caldwell. By the looks of this perspective, she's in the green cap on the right of your screen, and she looks to be the only one taking it out as aggressively. She's got someone on her feet. We can't exactly tell the color of that cap, but it's a group of three within, what are we in, 30 seconds of the race, making sure there is no doubt of intention, as for the first few meters we can see some great crowds making great noise for these ladies.
So it was a wetsuit optional swim, which obviously means that everyone has chosen to wear a wetsuit, as you can see. Probably makes things a little bit easier for the weaker swimmers, which is quite an interesting thing to watch, because Lucy Charles-Barclay, she needs a big gap into T2 today, I believe, and having some company in the form of Sophie Caldwell, and I believe that probably is Lisa Norder behind them, although it's very hard to tell at this stage, is going to be crucial.
Yeah, I agree that the wetsuit debate is kind of endless, you know, and as technology has evolved, athletes, even the good swimmers, no longer mind swimming with a wetsuit because the materials are just that much more flexible and you know, comfortable to swim in. But we generally would have preferred, as good swimmers, to swim without a wetsuit because, as you mentioned, it's a little bit harder for the not so good swimmers to keep up, and the gaps just become a little bit smaller. But we see Lucy here breathing to the right, so this is normally what people start doing. You can see Sophie breathing to the left on the other hand, and this is just a simple preference, right? For me personally, it was always breathing to the right. Everybody has their favorite side, and everybody tends to breathe at least in open water every second stroke. And yeah, we are seeing a fierce pace being set, as already it looks like the third athlete, who we couldn't quite identify, has popped off the back. We're not too far away from the Aussie exit, and I think we'll get a good view and some exact splits just then.
Well, that's Ash Gentle there leading with Imogen Simmons and India Lee behind. You can also see that Kat Matthews is in there, so Chelsea Sodaro there as well. So that is a group of pretty much all the other big hitters. Anne Haag is in there as well. She's, if you look at that chase group, if you look at Ash Gentle in the orange cap in front, not the purple cap right behind her, who is India Lee, the next one about 5 athletes back, that is Anne Haag. I mean, for the pace that Lucy Charles-Barclay is sitting, that's not a huge gap there for Annie Haug, and Ash Gentle being the one to lead that chase group in front of Imogen Simmons and India Lee is pretty impressive.
It is, but let's remember this kind of camera perspective also doesn't give you the full view, and we're only halfway through the swim. You know, the gap is still about to happen. But you know, Lucy Charles-Barclay has definitely stated her intent. She's got a special bike, I think, with the London subway painted on it. She's got T-shirts made. This race means a lot to her, and there's not going to be any missing of effort.
This Aussie exit, as opposed to others, you don't quite get the view of other athletes. When you get onto the pontoon, you can get a quick look right, like you just saw Sophie Caldwell took a good look. You don't really get to tell who's where and how far ahead of you are. It's quite difficult, but they definitely still would have seen that they had a decent gap there.
Hayley Chura.
Yeah, so our third athlete was Hayley Chura, as we speculated. And I just noticed on the dive in there that Sophie and Lucy, I think they swapped positions. I think Lucy looked over a little bit at Sophie and sort of said, hey, come on, you take the lead for a bit now. And I think when we just saw them a minute ago, it was Sophie who was starting the second lap in the lead.
Well, you know, Vicky, I think also there's a thing here. This kind of Aussie exit is very much suited to Olympic distance athletes. You are more used to going the high pace, the high intensity, and everybody's walking out a little carefully here. You know, Lucy was adjusting her goggles, whereas Sophie, she's used to this, you know, changing pace. As we see Anne Haug making her way out of the water, and she'll definitely be looking to minimize the gap.
Yeah, this really is one big pack, really. We've got the two leaders in Sophie and Lucy, of course, and we've got Hayley Chura as a solo athlete, and then all the rest of these girls are kind of in one long line. They're all really, there's nothing much to split the rest of the field at this point.
Would you have expected to see this, Jan? Sophie Caldwell leading the swim kind of at this point in, you know, pretty much 3/4 of the way into the swim, or would you have expected Lucy Charles-Barclay to take authority and lead the whole swim?
No, I would have definitely hoped to see these two working together, and it's fantastic because I think, you know, we see this and we see this kind of wholehearted racing from Lucy at every single race that she does, and it's just, it's really nice to see other athletes seeing, okay, this could also be my ticket to the very front line. You know, this could be a ticket to a podium. And if we work together rather than just benefit off Lucy's feet, then this could really turn to something great. And still, I don't think that Lucy's holding back. You know, I don't think she's tactically sitting there to save energy. I think Sophie's simply setting a very, very hot pace.
Something I'm noticing in Lucy Charles' swimming stroke is that she hasn't let her foot off the pedal once. She seems to be swimming with high intent the whole way through this swim. And when her and Sophie Caldwell made that final switch in lead, I didn't feel like it was a Sophie Caldwell slowing down. I sort of felt like it was Lucy Charles-Barclay trying to keep the pace high and push it on. To me, that says that she's in the mindset of needing to create a big gap and racing with intent and intensity the whole day to try and get a big gap. My mind goes straight back to Singapore, Jan, where she had that 5 minutes and it wasn't enough. I've got no doubt her and her team have decided, and you might be able to speak on this more, having the same coach as her in Dan Lorang, that she needs a big gap into T2. And I don't know whether it's a lack of confidence in her run, or just it shows the confidence she has in her swim-bike combo.
Well, as we spoke about earlier, you know, she doesn't have that many options at this stage. We don't know how much her run has progressed. She did have some struggles earlier on in the season with a calf issue that she picked up at the World Championships last year. So again, she'll be building, and we know she's capable of very, very good running skills. As they hit the swim exit right now, ladies and gentlemen, start your stopwatches. Let's see what this gap is as our two leaders head inside for transition 1 and out onto the 8 lap bike course.
I mean, look at all the fans there. It's great to see so many people come out to support them, and to have two British athletes come out first and second out of the swim. That's just what the home fans are going to want to see, really, isn't it?
Some stairs in there for good measure. What do you guys think? Are we going to see another scenario of having top 5 British athletes as we saw in Miami?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
We aim to please, we aim to impress on home soil, so I know they'll all be gunning for it, and pretty much every single one of them has spoken about how they've got so many friends and family here supporting them, and they're just excited to race rather than nervous to race. So hopefully that plays out for them.
It's already been almost a minute and no sign of the chasers coming into T1. Lucy Charles-Barclay and Sophie Caldwell I guess they have to form a partnership here, Vicky. I don't think this can be a situation where Lucy wants to ride off the front or Sophie wants to ride off the front. I think we need to see an alliance formed here for either one of these ladies to have their best race today.
Well, Lucy doesn't often get this, right? She doesn't often come out of the water with someone right there and someone who she knows is a strong cyclist.
That's the big
in
point.
Sophie Coldwell as well. And, you know, she probably knows that over this distance, Sophie doesn't have the experience to maybe win the race on the day, so she can kind of use Sophie as someone to work with, especially in the early part of this bike course. And for Sophie's part, she has literally nothing to lose by just attacking the first part of this bike.
I know it's been a nail-biter of a season. May I just remind you, we had this exact same scenario in Miami with India Lee. She came out, we probably would have thought the same thing, you know, she's not that experienced of an athlete. And she, you know, they rode together, they worked together, and ended up winning.
It was Lucy Buckingham who came out of the water in Miami.
Of course, yeah.
India Lee was about a minute 30 back, and funnily enough, she's just come out a minute 50 behind with Ash Gentle and Imogen Simmons here into T1. That gap really did blow out. We sort of said it looks like it's 2 minutes, and it turns out it is 2 minutes. I mean, I probably didn't expect it to quite be that. I thought it might be 90 seconds, but closer to 2 minutes. I think in the swim, the first section of this race, that's win Lucy Charles-Barclay. That's a big gap. But the thing she has working against her is India Lee, Imogen Simmons and Ash Gentle together is a strong chase group.
So we see a long line of athletes forming as they wait to space themselves out for the actual course and heading out of the technical section that Vicky mentioned early on.
So I think we need to talk about this. Drafting is always a big topic of conversation when it comes to long or middle distance triathlon. In today's race, we have been told the technical officials are going to be hot on drafting. However, there is 5 sections, one of which Hayley Chura just went through there, where they will show a bit of discretion and leniency because of the nature of this course. There's 5 sections, including 2 turnaround points and this sort of technical roundabout section we're seeing here on both sides of the race course, where if it does come back in a little bit, they'll be a little bit lenient on it. But outside of that, on the long straight flat roads, they will not show any discretion. There will be penalties.
As we see Anne Reichman off the back, this is a long way swimming, and whilst everybody's going at 40+ kilometers an hour, you're swimming along. This is not great news. Hayley Chura already being caught. Quite frankly, if I looked at her going into the roundabout, I think she's just not a technically very well-versed rider. And, you know, all the construction that's in and out of the XL, there's a fair few bumps. It's definitely something that can scare you. Maybe she had a little moment where her front wheel gave a little bit of way, but Ash Gentle, making light work of the situation, has now moved on to the virtual podium.
We saw what she did in the swim. Clearly leading into the race, she had a plan to push the pace. She did that with Sophie Coldwell. She led the entire first lap, let Sophie Coldwell come in front of her for a little bit in the second lap out of the Aussie exit. You can see she took a look at her there and got on her feet, but then about 17 minutes into the swim, she decided to take the rein again and led into transition 1. Straight away on the bike, out of transition 1, she took the lead. Sophie Coldwell was sitting about 40-50 metres behind her until that elastic band did snap, and Lucy Charles-Barclay found herself out in front of the race. The gap to her from the chasers behind, it did get closed, but now, about 40 kilometres into the bike, Lucy Charles-Barclay has managed to maintain that gap. The only person making ground on her right now is Imogen Simmons. Ashley Gentle has dropped back. She got that gap down to a minute. It's out to a minute 22. Lucy Byram, Kat Matthews, Lisa Norden, Laura Phillip and India Lee, they were up at about a minute and 55 seconds behind at one stage. Now that's out to 2 minutes and 12 seconds at the 44-kilometre checkpoint.
We see some spectators as we come back to the XL Centre, and Imogen Simmons still looking like poetry in motion. And it's a nice position to be in. When you're just off the lead, you can see an athlete in front of you. It just gives you a great target to forget about your numbers. I mean, most of these athletes would be riding according to numbers. Let's see if she can get a bottle.
Four missed, and she's earned her hand. Got the fifth, though.
Got it.
Fifth time lucky.
Remember there is a no litter zone. I think that's probably just water that they'd be getting from the aid station. She's still got both of her bottles, and she's got nutrition in her frame as well.
Well, at least she doesn't really need her hand too much from from this point forward. Of course, you know, I'm joking. It's never ideal to be racing along with a sore hand, but at least the swim portion is done of the race.
2.
Here we go again.
3. And that's
the one that hurt. Yeah. Got one. And you can't forget that this is the strongest women's field that we have seen so far in the T100 series. So all of these athletes are more than capable of pretty exceptional performances. And we're just seeing on screen Ashley Gentle go into 3rd position now. She's just overtaken Sophie Caldwell. And it'll be really interesting to see what Sophie does here, because of course she is starting to slide backwards down the ranking a little bit, but she's again going to have to manage her own expectations of what she's capable of doing. She's entering uncharted territory now as she goes further deeper into this race. She's never raced for this long before as we see them go over these speed bumps. I think they're having to be a little bit careful. We know that while they practiced over this course in the previous days, that some of the athletes found that going too fast over these speed bumps meant that they lost water bottles, had a couple of mechanical issues, so they've taken some air out of the tyres. They've got chain catchers on just in case they drop a chain by going over those speed bumps. And I know a lot of them have got sort of this sticky putty around their seat post to make sure it doesn't slip down, as a few of them had encountered that problem when they went over the speed bump. So just a nuance of this course that they're just having to be a little bit careful and probably measure their speed a bit more than maybe they thought when they first attempted it in practice just a few days ago. We've just seen Imogen Simmons take on her nutrition. She did take her a few attempts to grab a bottle again, and they must be quite slippery out there, but she's done that, and she's now got herself back up to around 20 metres behind Lucy Charles-Barclay, and I don't think she's going to be sitting here for too long. I think she's just taking in some nutrition, taking in some fluid, and then I think we're going to see her sort of start to go around Lucy and take herself to the front. And we also saw them go over a couple of speed bumps back there. They really are quite aggressive. We've seen athletes today have to be a little bit careful as they go over those, and you know, the mechanic here that helps out all the athletes, as we see Imogen Simmons go straight past Lucy Charles-Barclay, but we know the mechanic has had to do a little bit more work than he maybe thought he was going to have to, just because it's been a bit more of a shock to them than they probably thought it was going to be.
As we see Imogen Simmons take a little climb. So this is a little bit of a technical section that we haven't actually seen. Yeah,
this is the ramp right back up into the Excel Centre. So that little sort of tunnel they just went through, that was underneath the Excel Centre. So now she's going up the ramp on the other side. As she'll come round here to the left, she'll then take another left at the end, and that will lead her into the Excel Centre for transition.
This is a crazy T2. Like we saw, was that like a little street cleaner that just was in front of her that went off to the left?
I think it might have been, yeah. So it's basically the access ramp for all the lorries that come into the Excel Centre here to bring in all the goods and stuff.
I mean, the venue is absolutely crazy. They had Formula E here a few weeks ago, and now we're about to see transition and the first athlete come in. Here we go, off the bike, no infringements. Nobody wants to waste the time here. Don't want to start with penalties now. Look at these new racking options where athletes can safely store their bikes. She is into her run shoes, like all athletes these days, choosing carbon shoes. Lucy Charles-Barclay also a few meters away from the red dismount line.
Imogen Simmons looks good at the minute.
She looks good right now, running out.
She doesn't look like she's just obliterated the field over 80 kilometres in perfect time trial position. She looks smooth and fresh.
As we see
Lucy Byram. That's Lucy Byram, yeah. She's rode her way up into 3rd place, so she really was the big mover in the last probably 20 kilometres of the bike course.
So we've got Ash Gentle here, 1 minute and 55 seconds down at the end of the bike into T2. Imogen Simmons looks amazing. I've never seen Imogen Simmons exit a T2 at the front of the race looking this good. I'd heard stories that her training was going really well before this, and it does seem like they are true. I don't know. I didn't think Lucy Charles-Barclay looked that good out of T2. I thought she looked like she might have been suffering a little bit compared to Imogen Simmons. So, I mean, the big talking points now, as we saw the Kat Matthews, Laura Philipp group come into T2, are who is going to have the legs on today's run. It's 25 degrees, it's about 50% humidity, it's not crazy conditions. Ashley Gentle at 2 minutes behind Imogen Simmons. Before the race, we might have thought that's not enough. Ashley Gentle will run into that. That's the big story to watch unfold. But right now, Imogen Simmons is flying.
She is full of bounce, you know, and as much as I've seen Imogen Simmons race, and I've seen her put in some pretty good performances, I've never seen her look like this. I've never seen that bounce in her stride. And, you know, Lucy Charles-Barclay does look to me like she's running a little bit better than she was in those first few meters out of transition, but she's holding her shoulders quite high, you know, she's holding a bit of tension there, so she needs to relax those a little bit, I think, to find a bit more free speed as she continues through the run.
Okay, so we're 7 kilometres into the run now. We're seeing this gap to Imogen Simmons slowly being eaten into by Ash Gentle. For the first time ever, it's within 30 seconds. It's 28 seconds. Ash Gentle is behind Imogen Simmons.
Look at that heart rate on Imogen Simmons.
We can also confirm at this point that Lucy Charles-Barclay has DNF'd. She is out of the race.
To race in your home city where she is such a star, she's known, there are so many people out on course cheering for her, so much support that she's got here. She would have been an incredibly popular winner had she taken home that win in the T100 here today, but it's not to be. She's DNF. We don't have any information on that right now as to just why she's had to step off the course, and instead we are back with Ashley Gentle as she continues to eat into that lead of Imogen Simmons, and I believe it's now around 24-25 seconds, so she's slowly catching up to Imogen.
There's just sometimes nothing you can do when Ash Gentle is in one of these moods on one of these days. We felt it all week as we see the pass.
Oh, and she put her foot down there as well. That wasn't just I'm going to go around you. She accelerated. She absolutely accelerated. She moved to the side, moved across to the barriers, put her foot down, and, you know, she's put 10 meters into Imogen Simmons over the last 10 seconds. She's really not messing around here. Ashley Gentle back at the front of a T100, and I'm sure she's, as much as this race isn't done, there's still 3 laps to go, 9 kilometers left, she will be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief because this is where she likes to be. San Francisco was an off day, and she's now about to be able to prove that to the world.
As this battle between Kat Matthews and Laura Philipp really fires up with Laura Philipp catching her. This is the standings as they stand with the current positions. So Ashley Gentle now is the leader of the series with where she sits in first place here at London with 86 points. We can see the big drop-off is Lucy Charles-Barclay with 56 points after her DNF here today. She went from leading the series to currently sitting in 4th as it stands. We've just seen the pass there, Laura Philipp and Kat Matthews. Kat Matthews didn't let her pass. Laura Philipp took the lead, and then Kat Matthews ran right up beside her. And again, now she's just a half step in front of her. It goes to what I was talking about, Jan. Kat Matthews is gritty, she's determined, she's competitive, she will not give an inch.
Now we're seeing Kat Matthews come right up past Lucy Byram, and she is about to go into 3rd place out on the course. And quick check behind her, she sees how far she's managed to get away from Laura Philipp, and the answer is it's not far, but it is probably the most decisive move we've seen in the last lap and a half or so, where Kat now looks like she's really coming into her own.
Ash Gentle makes her way into the XL building. Look at her getting the crowd up and about. She's done it. After that poor result in San Fran that ate away for her for the last month, she has finally won another T100 race, her 2nd T100 victory of 2024, the only athlete in 2024 to win 2 T100 titles, and takes her PTO and T100 title to 5 races. She's run 5 races. The next best is 2. What a dominant and complete performance from Ashley Gentle today. Imogen Simmons, she took the lead at about 70k into the bike ride. She was aggressive. She committed to her move in the front. She attacked out of T2. Not many people coming into T100 London had Imogen Simmons on their podium. She's showing everyone she's back to her form at the end of 2023 with her best result in a T100 race so far, second place.
And Kat came in close, keeping up the British hopes.
Wow.
Podium finish. What a run indeed. She's ecstatic. She's done absolutely great to get herself there. Still not holding up, almost sprinting across, stops to watch.
Unbelievable.
And giving the British crowd what they came for.
I'm pretty happy now I can put San Francisco behind me and just, yeah, that was amazing. I mean, so many people here were cheering and giving me so much support, so that was so painful, but it was actually really enjoyable too.
I'm actually super happy because this race felt like my, break the back, like get over the middle of the season, and have come away with like a seriously what I'm proud of my first half, and now I can just take a couple of days off and just take a breather, reset. In theory, a mental holiday this next week, and then it ramps straight back up, and I can't wait.
I was feeling pretty good on the swim and the bike, and then I just rolled my ankle out on the run and felt something in my Achilles, and given the huge injury I've had on that leg, I was like, I can't risk this here. So it was incredibly tough to pull the pin, given it's a home race, and honestly the crowd was amazing out there. But yeah, I just unfortunately had to make the smart decision today, and yeah, hopefully not make it worse.
As we get a breakdown of the day, Imogen Simmons, as we said, the only lady to go under 2 hours for the course. Tamra Jewett having the fastest run with a 1:04.29. That's a minute and a half faster than Ashley Gentle, who admittedly was measuring her effort.
Miami, and a new era of triathlon. Very first T100 about to take to the water. Magnus Ditlev is closing that gap on Margerier and Brownlee. The racetrack temp is 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Magnus Ditlev, the first ever winner of the T100.
And if Miami was the warm-up, this weekend these athletes step into an Asian furnace that can burn very hot.
I am so impressed with Yuri Kulin riding off the front.
Yuri, newsflash, you're not going to see anyone.
This is one of the greatest performances in T100 history.
The T100 has landed in San Francisco. We have all the ingredients for a truly iconic race.
Who's going to be anti-fragile and who's going to thrive in it?
Tell you, he's here to win and he believes he can win.
Shoulder to shoulder, the anxiety is building.
Martin Gabriel, cost me!
Oh my goodness! That's the best race I have ever seen.
And we are racing 100 kilometres to go here at T100 London, the fourth stop on the T100 World Tour. I'm Jack Kelly. I'm joined in commentary by Jan Frodeno and Vicky Holland. Jan, we can see to the right of your picture, Kyle Smith in the orange cap. Straight away, he has started with intent coming off his second place finish last time around at San Francisco.
Absolutely, Kyle's been wanting to make his mark. He has been training phenomenally well. And I find it fascinating watching the guys walk from their call-up with their song. You know, the last guys, they get their dedicated music and just get themselves fired up. Some of them make a show, some of them just keep quiet. The crowd giving out massive cheers for Alistair Brownlee. But Kyle Smith out the front, looking smooth, and smooth as fast.
We can see Rico Bogan here in the red cap. He is leading the other pack. And then behind Kyle Smith, we've got Jason West in there, Sam Laidlow's in there in the yellow cap, and just to his left, the hometown hero Alistair Brownlee in the white cap. And we've seen our first lead change in the swim today. This is Aaron Royal at the front of the swim. This is where he's found himself every single T100 race this year. He's taken the lead from Kyle Smith. Aaron Royal, he's been telling people openly this week that he is planning to race hot and swim fast. He does not want to take people with him. He's sick of taking big groups with him into T1. He wants a lead out of the swim today, and he hasn't made any apologies for that all week. So we've seen Aaron Royal. He has established a gap here into the first Aussie exit. Amazingly, we saw Sam Laidlow. He had let the feet go and he's not in the chase group behind him. It looks here like Aaron Royal has the better part of 10 seconds. He has never had a lead like this out of the first lap. We saw Ben Canute, Rico Bogan, Kyle Smith, Alistair Brownlee were all in that chase group. Yuri Kuelen's here, Magnus Ditlev was here, Jason West was here, Peter Hemrich is here. You could see Sam Laidlow has not made this second group. Who would ever have thought you would have had Magnus Ditlev in a chase group with Sam Laidlow being dropped behind?
Sam Laidlow, for me, being the story of the swim so far. But I can tell you what, in his mind right now, he's regretting his life choices of coming in and just racing in his swimsuit.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because I understand you want to be comfortable in the water, but speed is speed, and a wetsuit makes you faster, even if you feel more restricted. It's a bizarre decision. As we're seeing Sam Long exit the water after lap 1, and he is now, we're waiting for the gap to come up, but yeah, this is probably the last time we're going to see anything slow from Sam Long out on the course today, but not the swim start he would have wanted, especially after the really great swim he had in San Francisco. He was perhaps looking for a little bit more than he's had there today.
Yeah, when Alistair is on, he's definitely on. And this is something that is, of course, his ability to get right on point for one race. It's difficult to hold that over a series, but London is obviously something that gets him fired up. I'm genuinely curious. I feel this is the kind of course that could suit him as well. We've talked about conditions. It is warmer again than yesterday, I feel. It is less windy also, even that little breath of wind that the athletes would have had. The only reprieve they're getting is going to be in the XL Centre, which is the large expo centre that's air-conditioned.
Just hit dry land as they finish the swim portion of this triathlon.
Aaron Royal coming out the front did not manage to extend his lead. Quite the contrary, actually, he's been caught up. But we'll see now. This is an opportunity. They have to run up some stairs to get to their bikes. And we're seeing athletes taking even the transition quite aggressively. We'll see who's going fast and getting out of this course.
Ditlev at only 20 seconds down. That is a fantastic swim from Magnus Ditlev there.
Magnus Ditlev, absolutely, as they come to the bikes. I'm not sure how well he's going to handle the technicalities of this course. I mean, it is tricky. Fred Funk, you mentioned him earlier on. He'll be happy with this swim, I think. It's amazing. Everybody's together except for 3-4 straddlers off the back.
Yeah, so we've seen Aaron Royal lead the boys in. Alistair Brownlee was right there with him. Rico Bogan was behind him. Kyle Smith was there too. Smith and Bogan's training partner, Daniel Backergaard, right on their heels. American swimmer Ben Canute, he was there too. Greg Barnaby, Jan Stratman, the German, first time here at the T100 World Tour on debut in that group as well. Magnus Ditlev and the returning Max Newman, last seen at the PTO European Open where he was the champion. He's back and he's in the front swim group where he always is. David McNamee sometimes has great swims, sometimes gets dropped. He's there in the front group, as does Peter Hemrich. Jason West, he hasn't missed a front pack swim so far this year, and once again he hasn't. Yuri Kuelen, he was in the front pack after the swim at Singapore, and he is again this time around. And Fred Funk, he's just on the edge of it.
And you see great evidence of the fact that race injuries are not happening at this race. Alistair Brownlee sitting well within the comfort zone of the draft of Aaron Royal. But this is obviously one of the first technical sections where drafting penalties will not be handed out. Jack, you know a little bit more. I think there's 5 zones in total. Take us through them.
Yeah, so there's 5 sections of the course where drafting penalties most likely won't be handed out because they are like discretionary little zones where if an athlete gets within 10 metres, the TOs might turn a blind eye to it because it was unavoidable. That's at each turnaround point, and then on each lap on the way out, back in, there's like this sort of roundabout section that you go in and out of where it can bunch back together, and then coming back into T2 and out of T1 like we just saw there. That's the 5 zones, and we are seeing the men take quite a while to get out of that zone, though. They do look quite close.
Oh, bottles gone.
2 bottles. Oof.
And we saw the women do that much better yesterday. They were prepared with rubber bands. They had extra safety put onto their bottles, as we see Leon Chevalier finally getting out of the bike course. in that fireman's helmet, which is aerodynamically a very fast choice by many athletes. Fashionably a questionable one.
We don't have the timing on screen, but I have this at over 3 minutes behind, so I think Sam Long has sort of lost a bit of extra time on that second lap compared to the leaders.
He'll be happy to get ground under his feet. The strongest legs in triathlon for a while. He
They've got
called
a lot of
himself
work
the
to
strongest
do.
dad in triathlon. He's a crowd favorite. He looked focused. He's readjusted his season to be ready for the PTO and actually taken a break. It's a long way for him to make it to that lead pack that we're seeing on the left. Aaron Royal here, the guys making good time already. Remember, they've got 25 seconds to pass. Alistair should probably start passing as well. Looks like he's well within the zone. And Sam is...
We're getting 3.
Fist pumping himself into this. That's what he does. He's got it. He tries to be serious, but in himself there is a little kid living, and I think it's that energy that carries him.
Yeah, we're seeing 3 minutes and 36 seconds down for Sam Long, so that is a big deficit for him to make up. And yeah, he's pumping up with the crowd there, and we mentioned it earlier on, this is a phenomenal crowd here, especially inside that Excel Centre, but 3 minutes and 36, he's got a lot of work to do.
So we're seeing Rico Bogan here at the lead of the race. Kyle Smith behind him. Is he... Yeah, I guess this is just coming into the discretionary zone here, so the athletes are allowed to bunch up a little bit, but we did see on the way out that they were quite close. Aaron Royal was the one who did hold his space. So Kyle Smith's just looking at the motorbike then, and he's saying, get out of the way, you are in the draft zone. You are going to make it easier for Rico Bogan behind me to sit in. Kyle Smith got the wherewithal. Oh, it's Magnus Ditlev actually behind him, also having a massive crack at the motorbike. Magnus Ditlev already less than 10 kilometres into the ride is taking charge.
Oh, and he's going through the aid station here, not taking up a bottle. So, yeah, it's surprising that athletes would be taking a bottle this early on. But the two of these guys, that could be a dangerous duo. Rico Bogan, we know he can push himself deep. Max Newman. Oh, wow. He's going to have to go past everybody here if they're strict on it. I know this is a no penalty zone.
Yuri Kuhl and Daniel Bathegard.
Oh, my goodness.
Is this a pack or is it a line?
No, this is definitely a pack. I mean, oh, my.
The motorbike's being yelled at. He's been told to get out of the way by Magnus. Kyle's having a crack at him. You can see this is definitely a pack here. I mean, the feed zone there, they are allowed to bunch up a little bit, but they've got to get out of it. They've got to get out of it very quickly because this bike race has bunched up here.
It's a tricky one, right? The motorbike's got to be there because we want to get the images and the world wants to see it, and these guys want the coverage. But they just need to find that position. And, I think in this kind of course specifically, it's dangerous because these guys are so close. The motor itself is not actually probably at fault. It's more that the whole dynamic is just, it's very tight.
And in complete contrast to the front of the race, we have Sam Long. He's out here by himself. There's no one inside. He's 3 minutes and 45 seconds behind that lead group.
What's going on here?
I think that's a front flat.
Flat.
That is a flat. Something we didn't see too much, but there were quite a few flats actually in the race yesterday as well. And on this kind of course, he's now going to have to make his way to the next technical stop to get a spare wheel, a different wheel. This is something that's dominated a few of his races, and that's a pity. I mean, a home race, you really don't wish it upon anyone. And here we have a change in leader. Magnus Ditlev sitting behind. This is Roth 2023 all over when these two guys rode off the front together. They put about 12 minutes into the pack then. And this is a dangerous combination. I'm very, very impressed with Sam Laidlow, how he's come and just taken it by the horns, riding off the front. We can see a little bit of tape on his calf, but for now, he's lighting up the course. Oh,
Fred Funk has never led a T100 race. This could be the first time in T100 history, and it's going to be. Fred Funk, the first time he has ever led a T100 race.
That's a good start. I like Fred. I like the way he races. He races honestly. He always tries to keep a gap, and good for him. It's a good start. Sam Long. Something's
his chain. That's in all sorts of directions.
It's got caught in between the frame there, hasn't it?
That could have been one of the speed bumps too, because I don't know, the camera doesn't do it justice just how rough it is out there. So hopefully he can get that spotted.
Hard to fix. He's got to get that out over the top and then around. Yep, which he's done. Now he's got to get now it's crossed over. That's tricky.
Let's see how many bottles it takes. Oh, first one, lucky. That has got to be a record. I definitely want to see that on social media tomorrow. Please, a different kind of reel. As we see, get a shot of Alistair Brownlee. Get eyes on him. He's currently in 14th place. I didn't see how the time gap is currently, but he was 2 minutes back when we last heard. And yeah, he's obviously got a new front wheel. We can see by the tyre that it's a different one.
He's 3 minutes back now, yeah.
3 minutes, so he's riding well, but not riding as well as Sam off the front.
1 minute now. The first time his lead's got to 1 minute. That's really quite big, and I'm surprised to have not seen anyone go around Fred Funk for the better part of 30 kilometres now to at least try and eat into that gap, particularly Magnus Ditlev, like you said, Jan. But to me, it says two things. It says, one, that everyone behind Sam Laidlow is settling in for a run battle against each other and no one wants to burn their matches, and two, that it's probably pretty hot out there and no one wants to take a massive risk. And as we see Sam Laidlow come into T2, there's a lot of question marks here. How bad is his car? What kind of run shape is he in? We know he had a really good ride in his last full distance race and did blow up a little bit towards the end of the run to finish second, and he led at T100 Miami, the first race of the year, and again blew up then. So the big question mark is, can Sam Laidlow finally put together a run that gets him the win that he needs to step up in the T100 rankings? He enters his bike. He's got the prototype shoes here, as you spoke about.
They're not. These are his standard. They are his custom shoes. They've got his logo, and he's chosen to go with what he knows. He's not bothering to put on socks either, which I find is remarkable. So he's gone from everything to nothing in one race. As he
maybe that was
the
again
business cap on. Nice transition. Smooth.
Looks good.
Yeah, maybe that was another strategic decision. You know, he didn't need the socks because those shoes he can wear without the socks, whereas maybe the prototypes he can't. Maybe that's played possibly a factor of question into why he's decided to go without the socks. But I can't fathom running 18 kilometers, especially pounding the roads without socks on.
Fred Funk, the next into transition, as we've just received news that Ben Canute, all the way from the States, has traveled with his family, is a DNF due to mechanical, so he obviously couldn't repair it, was more than a puncture. Something you don't want to see.
Such a shame, yeah.
All of these boys are now thinking about this run battle. It'll be getting in and out of T2 quickly, getting onto the run course, getting settled and seeing where you are relative to the rest of the field. Kyle Smith talked all week about wanting to take more risks on the run, not just settling in, not lacking confidence. Maxi Newman on his return. He won last time out on the run at the PTO European Open in early 2023. What kind of run shape does he bring in? Daniel Bakkegaard, part of the training squad of Rico Bogan, Kyle Smith and Fred Funk, who are all also at the front of the race. He is into T2 and struggling to get that left Alpha Fly on, but he's off now. 1 minute and 33 seconds is the lead that Sam Laidlow has here over Rico Bogan, the young German. Kyle Smith, once again, right on the heels of Rico Bogan. San Francisco all over again. Martin Van Riel, where are you? Fred Funk, 1 minute and 39 seconds behind Magnus Ditlev, the scientific Dane, 1 minute and 44 seconds. And Yuri Kulin, the Singapore champion, 1 minute and 46 seconds behind.
It's always helpful to have someone to sort of run with, especially as you get established out on the course, and there wasn't too big a gap there between Alistair and Peter, so they may well end up sort of using each other to try and reel in some of those guys up the road. Yeah, Peter's only just going out now on the side of that screen, so Alistair not going to be too far behind once he gets these shoes on. Yeah, that
no socks.
No socks again, only going to be about less than 10 seconds, I think, between those two, so they could end up working together quite early on the run course.
And that's just Alistair. He grabs his sunnies, off he goes. There's no watch, there's no...
Doesn't think about it, just go, go, go.
Doesn't whoa, and he is out. Come on, Alistair, come on, put it together.
We're back with second place, Kyle Smith. He's now only 50 seconds behind Sam Laidlow. A reminder that out of T2, that was 1 minute and 33 seconds. So 42 seconds he's put into Sam Laidlow. That's only 5 kilometres into the run, so 13 kilometres to go.
Yuri putting on a
brave face.
A brave face.
The pain face.
Actually, it's more of a pain face rather than brave. This doesn't look brave.
Yeah, he's unfortunately lost five plus minutes now, and he was only just a few seconds behind. As
Another
we
stop.
see him stop and try and stretch out this problem he's got, it seems to be a stitch that's giving him a lot of discomfort at the moment and just not allowing him to get into his stride.
So Rico Bogan, he did get that 30-second penalty and he has now officially served it. So he's now 3 minutes and 40 seconds behind the leader. We've got eyes on Rico Bogan right here. As you see the countdown clock, it was these socks left out of that little box. They've got to be in that box or it's a 30-second penalty. Quite a rough penalty, but you've got to keep your house clean, Jan.
World's most expensive socks. Those socks would cost him about $2,000 in a difference in price money.
And there it is.
He goes out again.
Eyes back on Kyle Smith here in second place, 31 seconds behind. This is the long straight on the run course. It's about 1 kilometre this straight each way, and Kyle Smith will have eyes just ahead there. There it is right there, the pass with Sam Laidlow. This is so good. Sam Laidlow's just tacked on behind Sam Long, and you can see how much he's hurting, and the effort that he put in to hold on to Sam Long down that hill was huge. Who would have thought it, Jan? The irony of these two working together and Sam Long becoming an ally for Sam Laidlow. 600 metres to go. Sam Laidlow, you can see he's putting in a clear surge there. I love triathlon. How good is this? 500 metres to go. Sam Laidlow, the Ironman World Champion. Like I said, everyone doubts him at this distance. Everyone doubts his consistency. No one believed he would be able to get it right at this distance. And here he is, 400 metres to go, and he's 20 seconds up on Kyle Smith, the big pre-race favourite. Sam Laidlow is hurting. You can see it in his face, but he is holding on for dear life in this battle of attrition with Kyle Smith.
It is absolutely mind-blowing. The man comes out, gives an interview saying if he can string together a few weeks of good training, no one can beat it. Everybody thinks, Sam, what are you talking about? And he is putting his money where his mouth is. Very, very, very impressive racing from the young French/Brit. Whatever he is, he's a world champion, and he is about to crown himself a T100 champion unless Kyle Smith can find something absolutely magic on this last bit of the ramp.
For the entire last 5 kilometres, the gap between Sam Laidlow in front and Kyle Smith in second has been 22 seconds. Sam Laidlow looks up at the sky as he does up his tri-suit. He can't believe it. His hands are on his head. What has happened, Sam Laidlow says. He cannot believe it as he high-fives the crowd. He had a calf injury coming in. He can't believe it, Sam Laidlow. What a battle we've seen here today at T100 London. He has held on. He's done the undoable, holding off Kyle Smith, the best runner in the sport right now. Sam Laidlow, you are the champion here, T100 London.
Oh, that is so good to see. He brings the wings out and flies. There is so much emotion in this. This is why I love sport. This is why I love professional racing. The emotions are just off the charts as Kyle Smith comes in hurting and a bravely fought second place for the man from New Zealand.
Kyle Smith, second place at San Francisco in the famous sprint finish with Martin Van Riel. He wanted the win badly today. Second place again. Daniel Bakkegaard, part of that famous training camp with Kyle Smith, Rico Bogan and Frederick Funk. They have all had days out here today. 2 DNFs in the T100 series. Even Daniel was doubting himself. He's talked about it. a third place finish here. And training partner Kyle Smith is the first one to congratulate him. Daniel Bakkegaard, third place at T100 London. Take a bow.
I just want to firstly thank the London crowds. I mean, it means so much to be here with my family and lots of friends that we've known for years. So to come here and do this, and it's insane, especially because like this year's been really rough, right? And it's just always when you overcome, like if there's a message I want to put across, it's that when you really hit rock bottom, you never know what tomorrow might bring. So yeah, yesterday I was, in my head I thought I might come like top 10 maybe, and to do this today is insane.
Obviously a little bit disappointed not to, obviously it's kind of like someone's dangling a carrot in front of you and you can't quite get it. Yeah, but obviously I'm happy with how I performed today. I'm really proud of how I dug deep and gave it my everything, and at the end of the day that's the only thing I can do, and if that's only good enough for second, then I'm only, I'm really happy for that, and obviously happy for Sam 2 weeks after an Ironman to do that's incredible.
And we have a look at the results from today. Sam Laidlow 1, Kyle Smith 2, Daniel Bakkegaard 3. That's our podium. You can see that Kyle Smith did have the fastest run of the day. He broke the hour, 59 minutes and 53 seconds. Sam Laidlow's bike, that was the thing that really changed the race, being able to get that gap into T2 and that run, 1:01.01, a really strong run from Sam Laidlow. Magnus Ditlev in 4th, Fred Funk in 5th, another 2 big performances. So good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. See you next time at Ibiza.